Good morning, this is Catherine Grace with Catherine Grace Reports. I'm continuing on with my video series of Rebecca Percy. This morning's video is entitled, Why Does It Look Like Catherine Has Joined the Enemy? I do feel like that I should give explanation for myself, and um, so in that it gets said on social media, Twitter, I mean, that's the social media platform that I use. I don't post on other ones, but it gets said that I have joined the enemy. I've joined with the enemy. I agree with the group that identifies as Satanist, or the James Hines Twitter account identifies as a Satanist. And then James Hines has his group. And then also they uh, throw in the open secret, Gabe Hoffman. They throw, I don't know, like I'm joined up with Gabe Hoffman against Rebecca. So I'm going to talk about that. For one thing, Rebecca's testimony is that she is a satanic ritual abuse survivor. And if you read my blogs, which are can be found at Duppy1958 at wordpress.com, I talk about how one evening Rebecca and I were sitting outside, and it was the summertime. We were just talking, and I told her about my testimony of Moloch. And I have a testimony that includes Moloch. I'm not going to give it at this time. It's not sensational. It's not, I don't know. It, I don't know. Anyway, so I had shared this with Rebecca that night, and the next day she was on Twitter and she started talking about how Lee had told her he was going to sacrifice her to Moloch. So this is how the progression of the videos went. And it was so drastic from her, what she had said to me when she was in England, because the satanic ritual abuse was not part of her testimony when she was in England. The satanic ritual abuse also was not part of her testimony when she was at the James A. Music Facility, when she was in jail for 14 months. And when Rebecca was jailed for 14 months, I left my home for a year, and, well, along with my husband, and we visited with Rebecca 3 days a week, most every week for that entire year. I know that we missed a couple of days in that entire year, but we visited 3 days a week otherwise. And also, I wrote Rebecca a letter almost every day. And sometimes, I would try to get more than one, because I wanted her to feel um, special. I wanted her to feel, I was trying to, I don't know. Anyway, so none of the satanic ritual abuse was part of her testimony until she got to my house. And then it went from zero to full throttle. And it became dangerous, which I talked with Rebecca about. And if you read my blogs, you will find out more detail about things over there. But in this whole situation, I, along with my family, lived as though we had 200 bloodthirsty Satanists like doing witchcraft against us. And it hadn't gotten to the point that, there were probably sacrificing babies in our name, but it was probably going there because there was a kidnapping, according to Rebecca, when she was at my house, which many people that are on social media know nothing about. And I will be making a video about that if I live through this. Um, so, help me, Jesus God. I'm not going to get off on the kidnapping thing, but I have to gather my thoughts here for a second. So anyway, there has been so much occult activity in this whole situation because that's what Rebecca's testimony is. It has attracted the people that are into occult activity from both sides. She has people that want to see her jailed, and then she has people that support her, and the people that support her a lot are into New Age. Well, they want evidently to make a difference there. And coming from a Christian standpoint, from me, I don't see the difference. But anyway, I could be totally losing this whole video. I don't know. I'm going to plow through it no matter what. But so the whole occult thing, and like people thinking that I have joined the enemy and everything, they don't understand that I have had social workers at my house. I've had them all up in my business. I have been investigated by other social workers. I've had the fire marshal at my house, and the fire marshal was throughout our entire property, walked every square foot. And they were looking at me, but that's another story. If you look at my blogs, you'll see. But so I've been investigated by all these people, and unless there is a huge cooperation between all these different agencies, then at least I am not, in an enemy of that camp. And as far as the occult activity, one of the people that came to our house, a social worker that came to our house, she actually was definitely into some sort of witchcraft. And so there are people all over the place in this whole situation. And a lot has to do with the occult. And it is what it is. I've had to live this. I've had to deal with it. I've had to overcome fears and just, well, anyway, I have not joined the enemy, and the person that identifies as a Satanist in James Hines, he and I both understand that we do not agree in the God situation and the devil situation, and I pray for him. I pray for him. He doesn't offend me. I have a heart for him, and so, and that's not any different than anybody else that I have come into contact with in this whole situation either, because I put people on my prayer list all the time. God is good. God is good all the time. He is good no matter who you are. He is good if you're my enemy. So let me talk about the open secret thing real quick, because I don't know if I can make a video about it. I really care about Gabe Hoffman, and I really appreciate the documentary that he did in an open secret. It is a fantastic representation of the most heinous of crimes in Hollywood, and um, Gabe has been very generous with people on Twitter, and um, he has gone on different people's YouTube channels who had like no um, subscribers, but he still went on there and graciously gave them a good interview about his documentary. And he has done nothing to, or he had done nothing to Rebecca Percy to garner the contempt and disrespect that she has shown him, and how she has taken several opportunities to take a dig at him on social media when he just, was letting it ride. But it should be obvious to people at this point that if you're going to pick a fight with Gabe, you better be ready to go a few rounds, because Gabe, he's a tough one. Deal with it. That's who you're dealing with. He doesn't have time for your nonsense, and he's not going to make time for your nonsense. And I was thinking about this earlier because I have talked with Gabe, and God love him. I have shared a lot of emotional stuff with him, and he just rolls with it. He, anyway, they don't just get simple, short, sweet little direct messages into their inbox. And here, all they did was open a stinking direct message from Rebecca Percy asking for help. And their response is, how can we help you? And do you have anything that can corroborate your testimony? Because that's the way that Gabe rolls. Gabe rolls with facts and evidence. Outside of that, he doesn't want to have anything to do with it. And there's no reason for him to be any different than what he is. Well, then Rebecca just blew Gabe off. And then the one night that I was on Twitter, and Gabe was the first time that he outed Rebecca or confronted her on Twitter. And I had no idea that Rebecca had contacted Gabe. And then I found out that she had contacted him, and not only had she contacted him, but she blew him off. Well, she would do that with me as well. It was a pattern. And so when I saw that, that made me backtrack and try to find sources that would be that would I don't know. I backtracked. I went and talked further to people that I should have had more information from them to begin with. But anyway, it wasn't a good report. And because of that backtracking, and because what I found was not of a good report, I began to talk to Gabe. And so that's the way that that's happened. That is what has happened. Um, I support Gabe on social media. I do not appreciate people, the threats that they make. I mean, if you can't be on social media without making some of those sorts of threats, then you're really not capable of handling a social media account. And honestly, as evidenced by social media and Twitter's open secret account, if you pick a fight with Gabe, be ready to go a few rounds. And he's not playing. So that has been my association with an open secret. And so there you are. Um, why does it look like that I've joined the enemy? I have not joined the enemy. I have had the experiences that I have had. I wrote about them in my blog. And so that is, I don't know, that's my explanation. And I do feel like that I should give explanation for myself and my actions. And this has been a big sticking point. And so what I hope that people will understand is that I don't view James Hines, who identifies as a Satanist, any differently than I do other people. And that's that. And as far as Gabe is concerned, Gabe is a very, he has integrity. And he's not going to roll with anything unless there is evidence. And it is just asinine for people to think that he should do otherwise. And as far as he being one who has attacked Rebecca, no, that is not the case. Gabe has stuck up for himself. So, anyway, all right, that's okay. I think that's all that I'm going to say. I don't know if there are any other people that people associate me with as far as being part of the enemy camp that is against Rebecca Percy. And I am not enemy. I'm not the enemy, and I won't be made out to be an enemy. I'm not an enemy to Rebecca. I'm not an enemy to the cause of children who are in harm's way of child sexual abuse. I'm not an enemy, and I won't be made out to be an enemy. So I am taking a stand for myself, and I will also be taking a stand for others. Yikes. Anyway. Alright, this is a long time to have a big blank screen. Lord bless you guys. Thank you for listening.